I've navigated a lot of tough challenges in my life by just being transparent. I think that that's something that's like undervalued.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about. Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to Higher Ed Pulse, your no-fluff guide to artificial intelligence in higher ed. I'm Mallory Willsea, bringing nearly 20 years of edtech and marketing expertise straight to your earbuds. Higher ed leaders are expected to master AI overnight, but let's be real, no one has time to sift through every headline, hot take, or research report. That's why every Monday, I'll break down what actually matters, fast, clear, and to the point. Want to sound like the smartest person in the room at your next team meeting? You're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Higher Ed Pulse. On today's episode, knowledge bases, karaoke, and committee calls. We're covering it all. Devin Purgason just got back from the Engage Summit where his team's AI-powered support tools turned heads and his dance moves turned at least a few more. We're talking about what it takes to go from early adopter to internal champion and what Devin's learned launching AI projects on campus and what he wishes AI could do next. Without further ado, and no introduction truly is needed, but Devin Purgason is joining me today. Of course, he is the AVP of Student Experience, Marketing and Outreach at Forsyth Technical Community College, one of Element 451's earliest AI adopters, and in 2024, he was named AMA's Emerging Marketer of the Year. Now he is shaping the future of our field as a member of this year's AMA Symposium Planning Committee. Now, when Devin's not building better student experiences, you'll probably find him behind the lens. He is a seriously talented photographer. Devin, I'm so excited to welcome you to the Pulse today. How are you?
I'm so staying alive, the pulse. I feel the pulse.
You feel it.
That's what you got to do. We're here. I'm on the pulse. I'm so excited to be here with you, Mallory. This is awesome.
I've seen you. I feel so lucky. In just the last couple of months, I've seen you so much from our Chicago AMA planning meeting, the Engage Summit just a couple weeks ago. So it's been about a week since I've seen you. And in the last week, Devin, this may be the most important question of this entire episode. I saw that you went to the Cowboy Carter tour in DC. Is your life forever changed? I mean, like, please tell me everything.
Absolutely. I'm not the same person that I was.
I believe that.
Before entering the District of Columbia on the 4th. No, it was absolutely amazing. Beyonce is she is everything. I love her so much. And the production, the music, the fashion, the people, like the crowd, it was everything. It was amazing. It's such a fun time. If you've never seen Beyonce, like, it's bucket list. At least once, try to go see her. She is absolutely magical.
You know, like, that's how I felt in a movie theater watching the like documentary she released last year from her last tour. I don't even know what I would do if I saw her in real life. Like,
I'll tell you what you would do. You cry. That's what you do. You're just like, oh my gosh, tears. Yes, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. So, like, would you rather go see Beyonce or go back to Chicago, hop on a boat on the river, and dance to Pink Pony Club?
Oh my gosh. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. I can't, such a different experiences. You know what if we do it all together at once? So, like, the AMA team, we can go, we'll get a boat at a Beyonce concert.
Okay, super. All right, y'all heard it here. Devin's saying we're getting on a boat and going to Beyonce. Anyone who's at AMA, we're going to hold them to this 100%. Now, we definitely do want to talk about AMA today, Devin, because that is coming up. But before we get there, I do want to backtrack us a little bit to the Engage Summit. I had such a great time at that event this year, and you were like front row for some of the biggest AI moments at the summit, from these huge announcements at the keynotes to just some really stellar presenters. I mean, Amanda Gully and Marjorie Haas, there was a president's panel. I mean, it was like really, really good programming this year. So I'm very curious to know what stood out to you most, because this was, I think your third Engage Summit?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it was such a good, well-rounded summit, like they've been always, just to be honest. But, it wasn't, for me, even some of the demos, it honestly felt like just a shared sense of purpose. Like seeing so many people from different types of institutions, community colleges, four-year institutions. I mean, the Element team come together and not just talk about AI, but really talk about like how to make AI work for our students. That really, for me, it hit different. And that's the real momentum, I think, behind AI is to create equitable, human-centered experiences. And it really reminds me too of Amanda Gully's keynote, which I think was fantastic. Amanda is really, really focused on the student experience, right? She's incredibly focused on creating the product that students can use. She gave a great analogy of the way that Disney World creates their lines and how they mimic that with their user experience, user interface for their students and for their student experience. And I thought that was just brilliant. It was amazing. It really spoke into what I'm trying to do at Forsyth Tech, which is, I really want to look at the way that students are consuming their content, consuming, buying things, how they're moving through the world. I want to mirror that within the college system, because as we know, a lot of times higher ed is a little bit lags. And so I really want to, give our students the experience that they're getting with industry.
Yeah, I loved her keynote as well. And I think for me, it regrounded me in something that I have probably been preaching online now for 15 years, but this idea of goals before tools. And what I loved is, and I actually mentioned this on my bonus episode with your colleague, Hannah Wilson. I loved that Amanda identified this challenge, or the institution identified this challenge where students were struggling in the process of their application. They were getting a lot of very negative feedback on it from the students directly. And they started to tackle the challenge, and they didn't go, and she was very clear, we did not go into this with AI is the tool for the answer. This is going to be the solution. They identified the problem, they identified their goals, and then they looked at the tools that were available to them, and then they realized AI was going to be the best. And I know, especially on this podcast, we are very AI friendly. We talk about AI all the time, but sometimes we do have to hit the brake and say, wait, what is the real problem we're solving for here? And what is the most appropriate tool to help us quickly solve this problem? The answer won't always be AI. And I think, it was rightfully so that she reminded us of that.
100%. I mean, we at Forsyth Tech, we do a understand, ideate, design, deploy design process. And what we find a lot of times, naturally, we don't spend enough time in the understand phase. In that phase where we're, okay, what is the problem? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish? What solution are we looking for? And really digging our heels in to do that research and figure out what is the problem. I think that is a critical piece to it. And she displayed that brilliantly.
I love that process. Design thinking is just such a great way of kind of unlocking ideation. And if listeners, if you're not familiar with design thinking, you can go to AI and ask it to explain it to you, right? But a very short way of explaining is it follows very similar steps to what Devin just shared. But I think the key point of design thinking is that it's circular and that it can go backwards a couple steps before it ever gets to the the prototype or test phase, like the solution phases. And yeah, I just shout out design thinking.
That's right. I'm all about
So good. So good. All right. Well, so Devin, I mentioned a couple minutes ago that podcast that I recorded with Hannah. Listeners, if you haven't heard that, please run to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen, and subscribe to The Pulse, because then you won't miss these bonus episodes when we're at these really cool events. Now, your colleague Hannah's session was on the AI knowledge bases that she is tending to every single day. And it got a lot of buzz. And I want you to kind of break down the story here because, right, like in this mindset of design thinking, there must have been an internal or initial pain point that led you to say, we've got to build this in this way. So what's the story there?
Absolutely. So when we started doing our design thinking process with our student care, our onboarding, and we started to implement AI more fully on our campus a couple of years ago, we realized that we needed a knowledge base because we have to onboard people to be able to answer questions for students, right? Or we have to have some sort of knowledge, truth, that a source of truth that AI can pull from. And so we had this knowledge base that was put together over a couple of years. It was really stitched together. And when you started to look through it, there were departments that didn't exist anymore. There were processes that were obsolete, things that just did not make sense anymore, things that were just plain flat out wrong. And so we realized that, first off, we had to recreate this knowledge base. But then also, much to the example of design thinking is circular, we realized that you can't just fix a knowledge base and then leave it. It has to be something that is constantly maintained. It's like a garden. It will overgrow. Birds will drop random seeds in your garden and a weed
or
will
other
pop
things.
Yeah, or other things. Yeah, absolutely. A storm comes through, it frosts overnight. I don't know, something like that. And so you have to like constantly tend to it. And so Hannah's entire session, which she's brilliant. She's the brain trust behind this. This is not something that I dreamt up and then Hannah just took the wheels of. This was very much, she is a go-getter. She is a very, very independent thinker. And so it was, hey, this is the dream. And she crafted it herself, how to do it. So garbage in, garbage out. That was what her session was about. And it was talking about, simplicity from knowledge sources all the way to how do you maintain these knowledge bases? How do you work with updating and tagging and managing so you can do it cleanly? Because it's a big task. It's a lot of work.
And while we're talking about the Engage Summit, we can also look to the future, to AMA. Hannah is going to be on the stage in the exhibit hall. So this may actually be the first time listeners have heard this. There is a special exhibit hall stage this year. We know one of the biggest challenges with AMA is like the fact that 300 plus proposals get submitted and we can maybe accept 10 to 12% of them. This exhibit hall stage is giving us the opportunity to do more programming this year. And insider info, we know Hannah just this week, right, accepted a offer to be on the exhibit hall stage talking about Notebook LM, which I think is going to be an excellent session, very practical, kind of tool agnostic from a CRM perspective. It doesn't matter what CRM you're using. Anybody can use Notebook LM. And I think that's going to be a really awesome session. So I just had to put that little plug in, Devin. I didn't mean to take us on a tangent, but let's bring it back to your knowledge base really quickly. One more question for you, because you've been running this now for some time. What has changed since you launched it?
Yeah, so the cadence at which we look at our knowledge has changed, I would say, quite a bit. It used to be something where we were able to do maybe once a semester, and now we're realizing that, we have to really keep our finger on the pulse of this. So it's something now where Hannah has monthly meetings with various departments so she can get the knowledge base in front of them, see if there's anything that we need to add. We just realized too, that there are a lot of questions that students may ask. So she's able to keep track of, okay, we're getting a lot of questions about this particular area of financial aid. So she's able then to pretty ad hoc, go to financial aid and say, hey, this is something that we're having a lot of questions about, and what is the best way that we can answer this? So then we're able to be a little bit more targeted with the AI chatbot and the knowledge base.
I loved her insight too around just even analyzing the tone of how a question gets asked at 9 a.m. versus 9 p.m, on a Monday versus a Thursday versus a Sunday. I thought that was really smart. And I have to imagine that has also yielded a lot of really important information that you can use to influence your other communications.
Absolutely. Having someone on the front line of that, because marketing teams are typically not student facing, right? And so having someone on the front line being really injected within the immediate student experience has been revolutionary for our whole team.
So when I was at Engage, I actually had a handful of people come up to me and mention hey, we listen to the Pulse. It's part of our Monday morning routine. I was like, oh my gosh, we need to take a selfie, right? But they also kind of all expressed in different ways that being an innovator on their campus can get really lonely. And I know that you have an incredible president who brings some really smart and focused top-down leadership to Forsyth Tech through all of this AI navigation. But that's not the case for everybody. And I have to imagine, even with a champion in President Janet Spriggs, there are still likely some behind the scenes realities of getting buy-in from your team, from your peers, even maybe from students. So what are some of those realities that you've experienced over the last couple of years? And where are the friction points and any insights to the person listening right now who's like, this is me and I need help navigating this?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does get lonely. I mean, innovation sounds really amazing until you're in a meeting and you're explaining this AI thing and folks are side-eyeing you like you joined a cult or something like that. And what I have found,
you drank the orange Kool-Aid.
literally. Yeah. You're orange for element. Yeah.
Precisely.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The orange Kool-Aid. I love that. That's a drink for next year's.
Please, Element, if you're listening.
Please, orange Kool-Aid. So yeah, but what I've found is that the friction that I have seen, it all boils down to one thing, and that's fear. People fear change. People fear tech replacing people. People fear, tech getting things wrong, messing up. And so the way that I have tried to navigate it is honestly just by being radically transparent and inviting people into the process early. I think that is really important. Making sure that they are a part of the process is incredibly helpful. And then showcasing the small wins, I think, is really, really helpful. Humor helps some, but showcasing those small wins and just being transparent and making sure that people feel comfortable and are in on the process, I think, has been the most helpful ways that I've navigated.
I've navigated a lot of tough challenges in my life by just being transparent. I think that that's something that's undervalued sometimes. And
yes.
The reality is, if people can just understand, if they can just understand where you're coming from, why a decision's getting made, what the problem was, what the process was to uncover it. Sometimes it's not that, like you just mentioned, sometimes it is fear-based, but oftentimes knowledge is power. And if you just can understand something, you might not still like it. You might not like the outcome. So I have found time and time again that at the very least, people can respect the outcome when there's a dose of transparency. So I plus one that, Devin. I think that's really smart advice. One more engaged question before we move on. So like off the record, but not really because we're recording this and we have microphones in front of our face. But so like, off the record, what is like a non-session moment from the summit that you felt captured the spirit of the event? And I've got my example, but I want to hear, what's that story you're going to be telling next year before Engage?
So I had such a fun time at the Mint Museum dancing my tail off. It was so much fun to really let loose with all these people that you've seen on stage or like that you have worked with as colleagues and just like sing your heart out to Pink Pony Club together. It's just such a community building experience, and I have loved that. I will be telling the stories of Pink Pony Club as long as I can remember. That
is also a top moment for me. In fact, was exactly the moment I was thinking of when I asked you the question, and I've got the video proof of that song. So not only is it a story I'll be telling, but I will be texting it to you saying, remember this one? Remember this one? The other one that really stands out for me was, and I left Element a couple months ago, but there were still so many former colleagues of mine that I never got to meet in real life. And for about, I'd say the 4 to 6 months before I left, we started running an influencer program. And there were people who I was communicating with almost on a daily basis who were some of Element's top customers who I had never met in real life. So finally getting to meet the people in that influencer program and some of my colleagues, like literally my marketing colleagues that I was managing every day and had never met in real life. That for me was the other major highlight. What's your second one?
Bird pizza.
Bird pizza! How
Bird
could I
pizza.
forget?
I'm telling you, if you're listening to the pod right now, if you're in Charlotte, you have to make a reservation. Bird Pizzeria, it is fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
Fantastic.
And we'll just leave that there. We also have photo proof of that too. So holler at us on LinkedIn and we'll send you the best photo of the best pizza ever. Oh my goodness. All right. So let's talk AMA for a few minutes. We're both on the symposium committee. We are both first timers. We're the newbies in the room, along with Carol Keys from Oregon. So the three of us are like holding down the newbie energy. I love being on this committee with you, Devin, and I know how much love you have for this community as well, and all the time and attention you've been pouring into the program this year. So another fun spoiler moment, because that program has not been released yet. It's going to be released somewhere in early to mid-August. But tell us, Devin, because we know when there's 300 proposals and you can only accept about 10% of them, you got to duke it out for some of your favorites. What was one of those sessions that you fought for?
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly. It is being on this side of the AMA committee has been really eye-opening. It is so competitive. I mean, and what I mean by that is there are so many amazing proposals, and we are just limited by we can't have a 7-day conference, so it is very competitive. But the one that I really loved was one that was based on the fashion industry, and it was, what can we learn from an experience branding marketing standpoint from the fashion industry and apply it to our higher ed institutions. I think that's amazing. That's exactly something that speaks to me. I talked earlier about the student experience and different people in industry and how students see that. And so this one was one that I thought was fantastic. A lot of the other committee members did too. And so we really, really fought to have that one programmed.
That's really cool. I'm on the subcommittee along with Alonda Thomas for the fireside chats, also known as the peer programming chats. And one that we were really excited to add to our list, similar in the sense like the fashion side of it, the outside the industry looking in spoke to you. We're going to have a peer programming session that is taking insights from the entertainment industry. And in particular, they asked this question, this idea of, can an educational brand become recognized or as recognized like other cultural brands? And what does it take to get you there? And should you even, right? What are the pros and cons on that? And so I can't wait to sit in that room and hear these speakers kind of wrestle with questions like that. That's just really intriguing to me. So
Love that.
Fun. All right. So Devin, we're kind of closing this out. I've got a couple more questions for you, a little more rapid fire. I'm curious to hear about a professional creative risk that you took recently. And let's ban AI from this. We've talked about AI a lot. Give me something else you're working on at Forsyth Tech.
That's such a great question. So we are working on our annual report, and this year is our 65th anniversary.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So Forsyth Tech, 65 years old. So what we're doing is we are actually, instead of having like a magazine or a book for our annual report this year, we're turning it into a 1960 style newspaper. And I'm really excited about it because I think vintage is so in now, as well as I'm excited just to see what it looks like in this format. But we're also pairing it with some online content. So there will be, QR codes and things like that go into longer form content, video content. So it's kind of this ode to the past and then this look into the future. And so that's sort of our creative idea with our annual report this year.
I mean, that's like what we were just talking about, the AMA program, like taking ideas from other places and applying it to the things you're already doing. I mean, that is actually literally part of the definition of innovation. So that's really, really cool, Devin. You are going to have to like come back on and let us know how that all goes at some point. Once you're on the other side and you can really evaluate, your metrics of success, which it's going to lead me to ask you, what are your metrics of success for this?
Yes. I mean, definitely we want fundraising dollars. That's big part of that is to see like, we send it to our donors and things of that nature to, at the end of the year, to sort of do that end of the year push for giving.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll be definitely one of the metrics, but I'll have a list.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. All right. Last question, Devin. Finish this sentence. I'll know AI is really helping when it can finally do what?
Find me and book for me the best hotel in New York when I need to go.
Okay. And just do it. And you say, find and book the best, and you give it the parameters. And I
give it the parameters. I tell it like, here's my star rating potential. Here's my budget. Find it, book it.
I like Chelsea and NoHo, and I'm a Marriott member, and blah, 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 blah. Go.
And here's my Bond Boy number, and there you
go. Okay. All right. I love that. I'll say lately I've been using ChatGPT to help me analyze flight costs and upgrades and whether or not the points versus the dollars are the better deal, if they are actually even a deal. And I feel so much more educated just going through those Q&A processes with ChatGPT, because now it's kind of given me some metrics to like say, oh, it's, it needs to be a cent or so, like there's this whole formula. So, but this is like next level, actually having the AI book it all for you. I bet it exists. It's just not like on the market, right?
Right. It'll be here within 6 months probably. So
by the time this podcast drops,
literally,
someone will be listening to it and be like, I did that yesterday. Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Devin, this flew by a little bit longer than the normal Pulse podcast, but like, man, you get me and you going, like, we don't stop. So is anyone surprised? Probably not. Listeners, check out the show notes for today's episode because I've got two really great links in there for you. The first one is the registration link for the AMA Symposium because if this conversation got you as fired up as it got us, come and hang out with me and Devin in November in National Harbor. As you have heard, the program is really great this year. The community is unmatched. And I promise you, those hallway conversations are just as good as the sessions at AMA. And insider tip, you'll want to go to the website in early to mid-August. You'll see that full program released, but registration's open, so do not wait. Links in the show notes. The second link is a freebie for you. You've heard me mention that the Engage Summit was live streaming. If for some reason you missed the memo or you didn't get a chance to register for those free sessions, you can still catch all of the recordings. And the fine folks at Element 451 have generously given us the link. It's in the show notes. And you can just click on it and you will get to see Hannah Wilson's session, my session, Amanda Gully's keynote, and so much more. So run to that. Do not walk. It is really, really good content. Devin, it was so good to virtually see you this time. Any parting thoughts before we close this one up?
Thank you so much, Mallory, for having me on the Pulse. That can be your new theme song.
Maybe.
No, I like the one that you have. No, I think ultimately something that I would just love to leave our audience with is, I know right now is a wild time in the world, and it's the summer, and so we have fall starting soon. So I just encourage you to remember why we do the work that we do. We do it first. The student experience is so important. The education that they get is incredibly valuable to them, and it changes their lives. And so just remember your purpose and remember your passion.
I love that. And that's beautiful. And that's exactly where we're ending this. Thank you so much for being here, Devin. And listeners, we'll catch you next week. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Higher Ed Pulse. The show is a proud member of the Enrollify Network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow. So be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.